Well, hello everybody and welcome to Jeff's baking blog. Today I'm going to make another stovetop recipe. This is going to be peperonata, which are stewed peppers, an Italian dish, and you can stew the peppers just how much you want basically. You can leave them slightly firmer or slightly mushy. There's lots of different recipes but all basically pretty similar, with peppers being the main ingredient. We also have some onion and some garlic and some tomatoes as well, but basically it's peppers. And these are served in a number of ways. They can be served hot, cold or warm, and they can also be served perhaps on toast or crostini, or as a side dish for meat and fish, or simply as a main dish with pasta, and use the peperonata as a sort of pasta sauce, however you want basically. But very, very tasty, or in my opinion, very, very tasty. So it's very easy, and I'll go on to the ingredients for the peperonata. And I have here 1 kilogram, which is 2.2 pounds of peppers, which I have washed and then sliced, ensuring there are no seeds or no white pithy bits on the peppers. I have 400 grams of onion, which I have sliced, 3 cloves of garlic, which I have crushed but I've left them whole, 400 grams, 14 ounces of peeled plum tomatoes. I'm using tinned tomatoes, and they were whole tomatoes. I've put them into a bowl and I've just crushed them or bashed them up a little bit to break them up. That's good enough for that. I have 45 millilitres, 3 tablespoons of olive oil, 45 millilitres, 3 tablespoons of a white wine vinegar, and then some basil for tearing or chopping and sprinkling over the top. Then some salt and pepper for seasoning, which is to taste. And I also have here some olives and some parmesan, because when I present mine, I'm going to present some with some olives and some with some parmesan on, but they're not needed for the recipe per se. The recipe is just these ingredients basically. And the first thing I need to do is to heat my oil, put the garlic in and then the onions, and slowly cook the onions until they're softened. So with my oil heating, I'm going to put my garlic in, and I'm leaving it whole even though I've crushed it a little bit, because I'm going to remove that later on. This is often something which you see Italians do when they're cooking. They cook with the garlic, but they remove the garlic after it's done its business of flavouring various ingredients. So with that garlic in, I'm also going to add in my onions. I'm just going to stir those around, and then I'm going to reduce the heat a little bit. So with the heat reduced and the onions broken down like that, I'm going to cover that pot. I'm just going to leave it to simmer away like that till the onions have softened, and that's probably going to take 10 minutes or so. So I've let my onions soften for 10 to 12 minutes, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in my peppers, and I should say you can use whatever colour of pepper you want. I'm using a mixture of red, yellow and green. I'll give those a stir around, and then I'll add a little bit of salt and pepper at this stage. I will taste it later, and I can add more if I want to. And then I'm going to cover that and cook that on a moderate heat for 15 minutes. Again, I'll give it a stir from time to time. So I've cooked these now for 15 minutes. They're not ready yet, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in my white wine vinegar. I'm going to turn the heat up, and I'm going to cook that off for 2 minutes. That's just to let the little bit of alcohol in the wine, in the white wine vinegar, evaporate. And then I'm going to add in my tomatoes. And stir those through. And you can use fresh tomatoes for this, but I'm using the tinned, as I think I mentioned. And at this stage, I'm going to remove my garlic. Now you can leave this in, and you can actually chop it up if you want to and leave it in. It depends how much you want the flavour to be imparted. And I'm going to cover that again, and I'm going to cook it for a further 15 minutes. And as I mentioned, you cook this until the peppers are the consistency that you like them, basically, for stewed peppers. So I let that cook for another 15 minutes, and I tasted it and added just a little bit more salt. So I've sprinkled over my torn basil, and it's got some juice in it. They're nicely stewed, the peppers, and they're of the consistency that I like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just serve a little bit of that up, and then I'll come back and we'll have a taste. So I've served some up. I have a piece of toasted bread here with the peperonata and just a couple of olives. I have just the peperonata on toast here, and peperonata on the toast with a little bit of grated parmesan. So I have a taste of the one that is just the peperonata, and usually I would pick this up and eat it by hand, but I do it with a fork just for this taste test. That is delicious, I have to say. The peppers are cooked perfectly for my taste. They're actually lovely and sweet. Just a slight little tang from that white wine vinegar. Absolutely perfect. And as I say, this can be served a number of ways. You can have it as a side dish with your meat or your fish or whatever. You can have it with pasta, or you can have it on toast or bread, or you can dip bread into it basically as well. So a very easy recipe, and it only takes about an hour to make. So that's going to be it for today. I hope you've enjoyed the recipe, and if you have, please give me the thumbs up below and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there'll be an eye that you can click on, and that will take you to a link for the recipe, and I'll put a link below the video as well. And I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.